I'm Liyana Hassanel, and this is Nightline, news making the headlines. Police nab 155 more individuals linked to GISBH as child exploitation probe intensifies. And PM announces 13 million ringgit allocation for post-flood assistance in Kedah. The headlining story. Phase 4 of Op Global has seen police arresting another 155 individuals linked to Global Ikhwan Services and Business Holdings Sindran Berhad GISBH. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Razaruddin Hussein said that 186 more victims were also rescued during the joint operation on Saturday. In a statement, Razaruddin said that a total of 3,801 personnel from the Police, Health Ministry, Welfare Department, Chemistry Department and National Registration Department were involved in the operation. They raided a total of 82 premises, comprising welfare homes, clinics, business premises and residential units across Peninsular Malaysia. During the raids, 78 men and 77 women were nabbed, while those rescued comprised 102 males and 84 females, including children. Among the victims, a child who was captured on video allegedly being caned by members of the company. The top cop added that police and the Malaysia Islamic Development Department, JAKIM, also managed to seize pamphlets that contained elements believed to be contrary to the teachings of Islam. All those arrested would be investigated under the Child Act and the Anti-Trafficking in Persons and Smuggling of Migrants Act. Now in Selangor, police raided more than 20 premises believed to be linked to GISBH on Saturday. The operation, conducted as early as 6:30 a.m., involved 2 locations in Rawang. The first raid was conducted by police personnel from Bukit Aman at Bandar Tasik Putri. 5 two-story terrace houses, believed to be charity homes run by GISBH, were inspected. However, all of them were vacant. The occupants were believed to have left the premises 2 days ago. Meanwhile, over 200 officers and personnel from the Selangor Police contingent raided a business centre largely owned by GISBH at the company's headquarters in Bandar Country Homes. They were assisted by personnel from the Federal Reserve Unit, Selangor Islamic Religious Department, JAIS, and the Selayang Municipal Council, MPS. It is understood that most of the businesses here have been operating without a valid license, some for the past 10 years. Various illegal extensions were built, including an equestrian centre housing 9 horses. The MPS later demolished the illegally constructed structures as well as sealed several business premises. Almost the entire business centre on Jalan Desa was also closed off. Authorities also conducted checks on more than 30 individuals, including children, at the same location. They were then taken to the Selangor Police Contingent headquarters for further action. In Kelantan, police conducted a raid at 3 houses in Kampung Panji, Kota Baru, which served as residences for the GISBH Chief Executive Officer and his family at 6:30 a.m. on Saturday. The operation from 6:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. was conducted in collaboration with the State Islamic Religious Affairs Department and Welfare Department. Over 30 people, including 20 children who were staying in the 3 homes, were inspected by authorities. They include the second wife of the CEO, who was at home during the raid. It is learned that the homes were used by different GISBH members over the decades. All those detained were later brought to a screening centre in Pengkalan Chepa for further action. Meanwhile, authorities have uncovered numerous books related to the teachings and doctrines of GISBH that were buried near a river in Kampung Panji. The books are believed to have been buried by a group member living near the village, following the arrest of its chief executive officer on Thursday. Some of the books were also found burned at the scene to prevent them from being detected by the authorities. Elsewhere in Malacca, 19 children were rescued in a raid on a residence believed to be a welfare home linked to GISBH in Kuala Sungai Baru, Alor Gajah on Saturday. Also raided were 14 other premises located in Malacca Tengah and Jasin. Among them were a bakery, restaurant, curtain shop, mini market, a kway teow processing factory and Management Office. The operation also saw the arrest of 5 individuals, comprising 2 men and 3 women. However, it is understood that most of the premises have been abandoned, including 2 bungalows used as charity homes in Krubong. In Pulau Pinang, authorities raided 4 premises operating in several locations in the state, believed to be linked to GISBH. Among them were 2 child care centres in Nibong Tebal and Taman Sri Mengkuang. A bakery and a grocery store in Perda were also raided. Several individuals were also taken away in police vehicles, while the rescued children and infants were placed under the care of the relevant agency. All of the premises were later sealed by enforcement officers. The State Islamic Religious Affairs Department also seized 6 books suspected to be related to the banned Al-Arqam group. Sultan Sharifuddin Idris Shah has decreed that all unregistered charity homes and Islamic schools in Selangor under GISBH and its network, which are suspected of being involved in criminal activities, including Sharia crimes, must be closed immediately. The Sultan of Selangor also expressed disappointment that religious authorities did not act against the company sooner. In a statement on Saturday, Sultan Sharifuddin said he was upset and disappointed over the news reports related to the alleged criminal activities by GISBH, and that the situation had persisted for so long without any effective action to address it. He stressed that the alleged criminal acts by GISBH have also tarnished the reputation and sanctity of Islam. Sultan Sharifuddin also highlighted that most of the charity homes under GISBH have been operating for a long time in several states, particularly in Selangor, without registration as required by current laws. The ruler added that the delay in addressing this issue indicates weaknesses in monitoring and enforcement by religious authorities. He also said he had summoned the Selangor Islamic Religious Council, MIETS, Selangor Islamic Religious Department, JAIS, and Selangor Police Chief to identify immediate steps that need to be taken. Sultan Sharifuddin also has directed all Islamic religious agencies in Selangor and the police to collaborate to ensure that all those involved in these criminal offences are brought to justice. He also urged the Selangor Fatwa Committee to review and examine the practices of GISBH to determine whether they deviated from or contradicted the true teachings of Islam. He also advised parents and guardians sending their children to religious schools or charity care centres to thoroughly check the background of these institutions. The ruler emphasized that this action is essential to avoid becoming entangled with unregistered schools and care centres that implement dubious programs and teachings. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim has announced that the federal government will allocate 13 million ringgit for post-flood assistance in Kedah. He stated that the funding would be used for aid, cleaning efforts and to repair damaged infrastructure. On Saturday, Anwar visited 3 temporary relief centres, PPS, at Sultan Abdul Halim Stadium, SMK Agama Kedah and Sekolah Kebangsaan SKT Gajah in Alor Star.
Untuk Kota Star sahaja kita peruntukkan 3 juta ringgit untuk keseluruhannya, dan untuk negeri Kedah kita reserve sekitar 10 juta untuk pastikan selepas banjir untuk apa-apa kerosakan atau ganti rugi yang menasabah. Saya dah minta NADMA, ada ICU dan Setiausaha Kerajaan Negeri selaraskan hal ini supaya disegerakan.
Anwar said the aid was in addition to the 1,000 ringgit cash assistance provided to each head of household affected by the floods, which began on Monday.
Sekarang ini kita tengok dah sampaikan 1,000 ringgit dan saya dengar Menteri Besar sebut negeri pun tambah. Tapi yang pentingnya itu adalah tentang jika ada kerusakan, kerugian binatang ternakan dan hasil tanaman, itu kita harus teliti dan kita harus cuba ringankan beban yang ditanggung oleh mangsa banjir.
Anwar has also directed that the flood mitigation projects currently underway in the state be closely monitored to prevent delays and to reduce the impact of floods in the future. The Prime Minister also instructed that students' learning sessions resume from home, even though their schools are being used as temporary flood relief centres. It was reported that the number of flood victims in the state had surged to 8,514 people from 2,728 families, with 44 relief centres operating in 5 districts as of 11 p.m. on Saturday night. In Pahang, a landslide occurred at Jalan Besar Brincang near Agro Market in Cameron Highlands on Saturday. There were no casualties in the 11 a.m. incident, but severe traffic congestion was reported at the popular tourist spot. According to District Police Chief Deputy Superintendent Azri Ramli, the landslide had caused part of Jalan Besar Brincang to be blocked by debris and fallen trees. He added that one of the vehicles parked along the road was crushed by a fallen electric pole. Fortunately, the car was unoccupied when the incident happened. Road clearing works are being carried out, with one lane of the road now open. Checks also showed slow-moving traffic in some areas, including from Tringkap heading to Brincang. It is understood that the traffic congestion along the route stretched for about 6 kilometers up to Simpang Pulai. However, traffic in the opposite direction was reported to be smooth. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong Sultan Ibrahim attended a gathering with the Malaysian diaspora in Beijing, China on Saturday. The event was held in conjunction with the King's 4-day state visit to the Republic at the invitation of President Xi Jinping. Some 300 Malaysians attended the nearly hour-long gathering with Sultan Ibrahim, who was accompanied by Tunku Temenggung of Johor, Tunku Idris Iskandar Sultan Ibrahim, and Transport Minister Anthony Loke. The attendees included businessmen, university students, and members of the Malaysian Embassy in China. At the same event, His Majesty also consented to the renaming of the Chair of Malay Studies at the Beijing Foreign Studies University, BFSU, in his honour. This academic chair, established in 2007 by the Higher Education Ministry, acknowledged the significant role of BFSU in promoting the Malay language in China. His Majesty then made a visit to the Beijing COMAC Aircraft Technology Research Centre, where he was briefed on China's innovations in aviation technology. Sultan Ibrahim's visit to China is the first by a Malaysian king in 10 years, which coincides with the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations between both countries. The king is scheduled to return to Malaysia on Sunday. The government will not marginalize any party from receiving allocations or development projects, even if the Memorandum of Understanding MOU on allocations for opposition members of parliament is rejected. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Fadilah Yusof stated that this aligns with the Madani government's principle of inclusivity, compassion and equality for all.
Peruntukan yang di bawah kerajaan tetap berjalan. Cuma tugas kami wakil rakyat biasanya hanya mencadangkan projek dan sebagainya, apa jenis bantuan yang perlu berikan. Tapi program kerajaan itu memang sedia ada. Tiada satu tempat pun dikecualikan. Semua mendapat manfaat. Sama ada MOU ataupun tidak, kerajaan tetap tidak meminggirkan mana-mana pihak. Tak kira kerajaan ataupun bangkang.
Fadilah said this at a press conference after the 2024 National World Rivers Day celebration at Sungai Tebrau in Johor Bahru on Saturday. He was commenting on Perikatan Nasional's decision to reject 2 draft MOUs from the government concerning allocations for opposition MPs. Previously, opposition leader Datuk Sri Hamzah Zainuddin reportedly said that the draft MOUs were in conflict with the federal constitution, as well as cultural, moral and religious values. Top Hezbollah commanders confirmed killed in Zionist strike. This and more from the Foreign Front when Nightline returns.
Itu 100 kilogram. Ini ada 2. Pontianak 200 kilogram.
Kemboja datang ni nak tolong abang perangkap Pontianak.
So sweet.
Korang tak nak lari ke?
Kau dah fikir habis-habisan ke? Ini tengkuk aku ke tengkuk kau Panas betul lah industri kita sekarang ni.
Pasal apa tahu? Setelah senario dah lama fan up balik, saya tak nak orang ambil kesempatan kat senario.
BBC banyak kenangan manis saya dengan platform ni.
Harap tahu apa yang terjadi hari-hari. Bukanlah hak kita untuk menjurikan orang supaya dia tu bersalah atau tidak.
Jangan lupa saksikan Melodi 12.30 tengah hari Ahad ini hanya di TV3
dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Udang lipan ni dia tak ada musim. Dia sentiasa ada tapi dia tengok daripada kuasan. Kuasan tu kata ada udang lipan kan. Memang dia ada. Banyak sikit memang dia ada.
Mi kari dia lah, paling terbaik lah. Orang kata kalau mana-mana tempat kita pergi, memang takkan jumpa lah mi kari udang lipan ni.
Empangan ni, sebenarnya kalau ayak penuh dia cantik, dia green. Tapi bila ayak surut tu nampak macam lombong lah.
Tu sedih tu lah. Tengok bekas tu duk, ambil mata. Ingat kubur.
We're back with news from the foreign front. Hezbollah was reeling on Saturday from a Zionist airstrike that killed 2 of its senior figures and dozens of other people in Lebanon, further intensifying the fears of an all-out war in the Middle East. Hezbollah confirmed that Ibrahim Akil, who helped establish group's elite Radwan force, and Ahmed Wahbi, who was in charge of Hezbollah's central training unit, were killed in the strike on Friday in a densely populated suburb of Beirut. The group also said 12 other members were killed in the strike. The Lebanese health minister said at least 31 people were killed in total, including 3 children, while at least 68 others were left injured. The 3 children killed were aged 4, 6 and 10, and emergency personnel are still searching for 17 people under the rubble. This was the latest major escalation between Israel and an Iran-backed group that raises concerns of a broader conflict. Over in Japan, 1 person was killed and at least 7 were missing on Saturday as unprecedented rains triggered floods and landslides. The Japanese Meteorological Agency issued the highest level of rainfall alert across multiple cities in the Ishikawa prefecture, warning of a life-threatening situation. They expect up to 20 centimeters of rainfall within the next 24 hours through Sunday noon. Officials in Ishikawa said at least 12 rivers had breached their banks and flooded plains. Local authorities ordered some 44,700 residents from the cities of Wajima, Suzu and Noto to evacuate. Another 16,000 residents in Niigata and Yamagata prefectures were also told to evacuate. While there have not been any reports of injuries so far, 1 person has been reported missing, and authorities said some homes and infrastructure in the prefecture had been damaged. Sri Lanka began voting on Saturday in its first presidential election since the country's economic collapse that prompted then-President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to flee the country. Polling stations opened at 7 a.m. local time in a poll widely seen as a referendum on his successor Ranil Wickremesinghe, who has restored some stability through austerity policies backed by the International Monetary Fund. The measures, however, have left millions struggling to make ends meet and are unpopular with many voters. Meanwhile, the economic crisis has boosted support for the leader of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna (JVP), Anura Kumara Dissanayake, despite his party's violent past. Dissanayake has promised to change the island's corrupt political culture. At the same time, fellow opposition leader Sajith Premadasa is also expected to make a strong showing. With about 17 million Sri Lankans being eligible to vote, thousands of police have been deployed to polling stations in a country that has a history of political violence. A result is expected to be released on Sunday. South Korea's leading doctor's body, KMA, on Saturday said a doctor has been arrested for allegedly creating and distributing a blacklist of colleagues who are not participating in an ongoing walkout over medical training reforms. The medic was arrested on Friday for allegedly creating a list of colleagues who had either returned to work or otherwise abandoned the walkout. He then distributed it with malicious intent through social media applications. According to local media, the trainee was being detained on stalking charges, as authorities determined he had harassed the victims by sharing their information, such as phone numbers and their alma maters, without their consent. The case marks the first arrest of a trainee doctor in more than 6 months of conflict and over the prolonged work stoppage, which has resulted in the deaths of some emergency patients. Two national representatives smash into final. Actions from China Open right after the short break.
Korang tak nak lari ke?
Kau yang lari, kau dah fikir habis-habisan ke? Ini tengkok aku ke tengkok kau
Ada plot twist.
Lagu Top 5 Music 39. Semuanya dalam Music 39 Ahad ini jam 12.20 tengah hari di TV3 dan stream secara langsung di aplikasi Tonton.
Disahkan menghidap penyakit jarang jumpa, menguji kekuatan dua beradik.
Momen masa tu kita datang untuk cek demam. Tiba-tiba doktor cakap ada satu penyakit lain dan penyakit itu sangat serius.
Cuma saya rindulah momen-momen yang dia sihat.
Konsep rumah ni ada beberapa gabungan konsep lah dan selesa, tidak terlalu banyak barang lah.
Inilah hasil baulu rendam kita. Masukkan daun salam. Toto Makassar, selamat mencuba.
Semua fan club dah sedia ke nak tengok artis kegemaran anda menang trofi ABPBH 36 secara langsung? Rebut tiket anda di www.tonton.com.my sebab tempat duduk sangatlah terhad. Tak sabarnya anugerah bintang popular berita harian 36. Untuk maklumat lanjut, layari www.tonton.com.my. ABPBH 36 eksklusif di TV3 dan boleh juga stream melalui Tonton. Teguh, kita bersama.
Sports now, badminton, the 2024 China Open. The national shuttlers continued their winning run as both the men's and mixed doubles pairs cruised into the first Super 1000 final on Saturday. Malaysia's men's doubles Goza Fei and Nur Izzuddin Muhammad Rumsani fought hard in the second set before clinching a thrilling 21-14, 24-22 victory against Indonesia's Muhammad Shohibul Fikri, Daniel Martin. The Japan Open champions will next face China's world number 7 He Jiting Ren Xiangyu for the trophy. Earlier national mixed doubles pair Goh Sun Huat and Siobhan Jamie Lai also reached their first Super 1000 final after defeating China's world number 22 Cheng Xing Zhang Qi 21-18, 21-18. The duo who got married earlier this year is set to face Huang Dongping and Feng Yanzhe in the final. However, it was the end of the road for national men's pair Ong Yu-sin and Teo Yi. The duo, who have had an incredible run so far, fought their best but were beaten 18-21, 11-21 by China's Jiting and Xiang Yu in the semi. On to bowling, the 2024 Asian 10-pin Bowling Championships. Malaysia's Sin Lee Jane, Natasha Roslan and Jillian Lim narrowly missed out on the women's trios gold medal on Saturday, following a stunning late comeback by defending champions Singapore. The overnight leaders appeared set to secure the country's fourth gold of the campaign, holding a 114-pin advantage heading into the final games. However, Singapore's Bernice Lim, Daphne Tan and Niu Hui Fen mounted a spirited charge, firing an impressive 719 pins in their last game to finish with a total of 3,822 pinfalls. Malaysia struggled in their final game, managing only 567 pins and finished second with 3,784 pinfalls, while South Korea claimed bronze with 3,765 pinfalls. Despite this, the national women's squad still has a chance to bounce back and clinch a gold in the team event. Moving on to football, the Super League. 2 matches were played on Saturday. Perak FC finally broke their curse after defeating Kuala Lumpur City FC 1-0 at home, while PDRM FC were back on winning ways after defeating Sabah FC 1-0. Playing at the Perak Stadium, both teams failed to find the net in the first half. The hosts, however, finally broke the deadlock in the 62nd minute when Luka Milinovic slotted home Asfar Zikri's cross. Stunned, the visitors tried to fight back, but the 1-0 scoreline remained until the final whistle, putting Perak at 7th place with 12 points. Still on football, the Saudi Pro League. Cristiano Ronaldo opened the scoring as Al Nassr defeated Al Ettifaq 3-0 away, giving Stefano Pioli his first victory as coach of the Saudi Arabian club on Saturday. Ronaldo, who missed the AFC Champions League elite match, fired home from the spot after 33 minutes for his third goal of the season. After the break, Salem Al Najdi doubled their lead from a tight angle in the 56th minute, and Anderson Talisca then netted in another goal with a low drive shot 14 minutes later, sealing the convincing 3-0 win for Al Nassr. With the result, Al Nassr moved to 4th in the table, while the Steven Gerrard's team remained in 3rd. Man arrested for driving against traffic. The details when we come back.
Adakah mesej pemasaran anda mencapai pelanggan yang secukupnya? Ketahui cara menarik perhatian pelanggan sasaran anda di seminar pemasaran wajib hadir percuma tahun ini, Omnia Advantage. Penjimatan sehingga 85% daripada kempen pengiklanan TV anda yang seterusnya. Daftar sekarang di omniaadvantage.com.
Pelat dan gagap boleh memberi kesan kepada keyakinan diri.
Memberi ruang dan masa untuk anak tu bercakap. Jangan cakap untuk mereka, jangan potong cakap mereka.
Adakah terdapat kaitan dengan masalah lidah pendek atau psikologi?
Apa yang berlaku adalah anak dia tak banyak bercakap. Bila nak communicate dengan parents dia tak faham.
Masihkah ada harapan untuk pulih? Hello Doktor menjawab persoalan anda mengenai pelat dan gagap Ahad 5.30 petang di TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
Tunggu apa lagi tu? Undian ABPBH 36 dah bermula sehingga 30 September 2024. Undi siapa paling popular di www.abpbh.com.my atau imbas kod QR sekarang. Nak undi pukal? Langgan je banyak-banyak akhbar digital dan naskah fizikal berita harian. Anugerah bintang popular berita harian 36. Teguh kita bersama.
Nightline continues. In Kedah, police have arrested a man for driving against traffic and causing an accident on the North-South Expressway near Sungai Petani. The 24-year-old suspect had driven against traffic for 40 kilometers before colliding head-on with another car early on Saturday. The incident, which occurred around 12:30 a.m., was recorded by several motorists. The suspect's reckless driving came to a halt when his car collided with another vehicle driven by a 53-year-old man. Both men walked away from the crash without any injuries. According to Kuala Muda Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Wan Azharuddin Wan Ismail, the suspect claimed that he drove against traffic because he missed the Alor Star Selatan exit. He was then arrested and taken to the District Traffic Police Station for further investigations. The case is being investigated under the Road Transport Act. Over in Selangor, 3 men were remanded for 6 days until Thursday over the murder of an interior designer at Bandar Sri Damansara in Petaling Jaya last Monday. The remand order was issued by the Petaling Jaya Magistrates Court to facilitate police investigations into the case. In a statement, Petaling Jaya Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Shahrul Nizam Jafar said the suspects, aged between 50 to 61, were arrested at an apartment in Kuala Lumpur at around 3 a.m. on Saturday. The victim, 36-year-old Muhammad Sharkawi Abu Bakar, was found dead by the police with over 20 stab wounds at Pasiaran Meranti apartment on September 16th. His neighbor had lodged a police report at 1 a.m. after hearing a heated argument between the victim and another individual just hours earlier. Based on initial investigations, police found no ties between the victim and the suspects. It is believed that the suspects broke into the victim's home and a struggle ensued when the victim returned and confronted the suspects. The case is being investigated under Section 302 of the Penal Code. This concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look as China's Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region welcomes a bumper harvest season, with white cotton, red chili peppers, and yellow walnuts offering stunning colors. With that, I'm Liyana Hassanel. Thank you for watching, and be well, Malaysia.